Hey guys, Justin here, and I have my good friend and my conversion rate expert, madman, Dustin Christianson with me. He's here today to kind of walk you guys through the conversions and the opportunities to double your conversions by just making small tweaks. And Justin's gonna have an opportunity to dive into kind of who he is and his background. The guy is a rock star. I've been following his work and I'm starting to work with him more and more across my business. And I'm just excited to have him. Mr. Christianson.
Hey, thanks. Well, we like to keep it simple with the names around here.
I know, right?
That way I don't forget. Awesome. So I can just go ahead and share my screen here and we can get.
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right. Can you see mine?
Yes, sir. We're coming through.
Good. So welcome. I'll get to who I am here in just a minute. And if I look funny, it's because I'm looking at more than one monitor. So we're going to talk about how to effectively double your conversion rate. And I use the term e-commerce pretty loosely. It isn't just an e-commerce store. It's anything direct response related, anything that you could potentially use to generate leads or generate sales online. But we're going to talk about how to double your conversions, reduce acquisition costs, eliminate competition, and increase your profits without having to get more traffic or go over any pesky redesigns, because we know how fun those are. So split testing and optimization. I've been doing this marketing thing for about 15 years now, and split testing and optimization is really the only way that I have found to get and keep a competitive advantage. And I was actually lucky enough to interview Perry Marshall for my podcast recently, and he said that optimization, if you're able to let it go long enough and keep doing it long enough, the effects basically compound exponentially. So the results come out exponentially, and that's just one more nail in why you need to be optimizing. So it's literally like finding lost revenue and profits in your business. And the reason for that is markets and people change. So you need to constantly be evolving and changing with them. You know, something that worked 6 months ago might work today. Something that didn't work 6 months ago, you know, it just goes back and forth. You just never know what's going to work, and you need to stay ahead. And the internet has leveled the playing field, so more and more people are popping up and competing with the big boys in the spaces and the different markets. So you need to constantly be evolving your message as well. So which one? I know you kind of cheated, Justin, but do you have any idea which one of these won?
I don't. I mean, that's the deal. Is like you have to test everything. You can't make assumptions.
Yeah. Well, version B actually won by 37%. It increased conversions because we removed some of the distractions and removed some of the other elements. It made it very streamlined and linear on what we wanted in the call to action. We'll talk more about this specifically later.
Yeah,
but what we'll cover,
call to action, right?
That's exactly what it is. But what we'll cover is we're going to cover the 7 elements you need to do to test in order to double your conversions, the magic of the wonderful compounding conversion, small hinges, tipping point. We'll talk about the CRO process, finding problem areas, why the R is actually crossed out in the CRO, and CRO means conversion rate optimization, the right and wrong way to do a test, the tactics versus process, when to call a test, mistakes to avoid, and what is this crazy hypothesis stuff that people keep talking about, and analytics, and then if we have time, we'll answer some questions. So who am I and why should you care? Well, I'm a numbers junkie. I've been doing this whole digital marketing thing for about 15 years. I'm a father, husband, and I'm a founder of the company called Conversion Fanatics. We consult with some top companies on their marketing and improve their marketing effectiveness. And I'm also the #1 best-selling author of Conversion Fanatic, How to Double Your Customer Sales and Profits with A/B Testing. So I want you to write this down. What are your 3 biggest problem areas right now in terms of conversions and your optimization? What areas do you think are the biggest problems? It could be you're having abandoned checkout issues. You're just not seeing the cost per acquisition that you need. Just write down those 3 things. And then I want you to think about what will it cost you if you do nothing to fix it? What is your desired outcome by fixing it? And what does success look like for you in 12 months? And what's holding you back from actually getting there? In marketing, assumptions kill. You can't assume anything is going to work better. And for that, you must test. If you assume something, you're going to lose a lot of money. And a good example of that is we had a client that we were running a video advertisement in the sports space. They had a video promotion. We recorded a male voiceover actor with the script, a female voiceover actor with the script, and then I recorded one with all my ums and ahs and imperfections. The leadership at this company was like, yeah, the female voiceover actor is going to win. I assumed it too. We went ahead and tested it anyway. The female voiceover actor converted half as well as the male voiceover actor, and my ums and ahs and imperfect video recorded twice the conversions that the male voiceover actor did. And if we would have just assumed that the female voiceover actor would have won, we would have lost out on almost $360,000 in revenue over the course of the promotion. So you can't assume anything, and I'm going to mention that several times throughout the presentation. The 7 elements that you need to pay attention to, we're going to break these down in individual here going forward, but you need to have your headline, your call to action, proof elements, images, benefits, distractions, and your offer. And headline testing. Studies have shown that you have about 7 seconds in normal conversation to get and keep somebody's attention. Online, you have less than 3 seconds. And actually, Google came out with a study recently that said on mobile, if a site takes more than 3 seconds, you're going to lose over half of your visitors.
That's crazy.
So it's important that you, yeah, it's nuts because the headline is the first thing. And the reason why you want to test headline is because it's the first thing people see. Without it, it doesn't matter if you have the greatest marketing message on the planet. If nobody engages with it, you have a problem. And the headline is the only way to do that. If I was going to test one thing only, I would test headlines. A lot of our clients always wonder, they're like, why are you guys just testing headlines? Well, it's the most important step oftentimes if you're not paying attention. So the reason why here is here's a company called Guru Focus that we tested on several years ago, but try all the premium features, 100% free for 7 days. We tested dozens of different headlines here. And this one came out to winner. 31% more people signed up for their membership. And this was a paid membership, all because we changed the headline. That's a big number. Yeah. And we got some bigger ones coming. That's really funny. But Pure Joy delivered 12 months a year. Here was a monthly subscription box company that was shipping out some luxury artisan sweets and treats and chocolates and things like that. Tested a bunch of different headlines. 36.1% more people signed up for their monthly subscription. The bottom line, lead with a bold, benefit-driven headline. I always kind of use the general rule back from my direct response copywriting days is 16 words or less. Here's who we are. Here's what we do. And here's what it's going to do for you. And as least amount of words as you could possibly fit that into. Can be difficult, but that's the reason why headline testing is so important. Call to action, again, with the assumptions. Don't just assume your visitors know what the next step is. You need to tell them what to do. An example, fill out the form to claim your free account versus fill out the form below to get instant access 100% free now. Slight change, the 100% free one, 158% more people filled out that form, all by changing just a few simple words.
Love it.
And I use the keep it simple, the keep it stupidly simple, the KISS principle. And again, don't assume your visitors know exactly what the next step is. You need to lead them down that path of least resistance to the end goal that you want achieved. And that's whether it is to fill out a form or actually get out their credit card and become a customer. Another example, contact us today, get a free quote, 100% free quote, get pricing now. Contact us today actually won out by 66.3%. 100% free quote increased at 35.5%. Get pricing now increased at 13.6%. All by changing just a few simple words. And this was a supplement manufacturer company that was looking to get inquiries from visitors on their website. So bottom line is the little things matter, but make sure you're leveraging the promise and benefit in your call to action. Kind of transfer over that 16 words or less type thing over to your call to action. Here's what you need to do next, and here's what you're going to get as a result of doing that. Social proof is proven. 9 times out of 10 to increase conversions. You can use things like videos, written testimonials, logos of different companies you've worked with, or different associations, or anything that you have that can bring some kind of social proof and credibility to you. Security seals, awards, media mentions, chatter, such as Facebook chatter, and we'll use an example of that here shortly, and number of happy customers.
Yeah, one thing here,
the reason
Justin,
why is nobody wants.
One thing that we started doing, Justin, was adding like social collages using their Facebook pics of our customers. And that really, we saw that, there's been a noticeable bump on that simply by just adding a nice big image that really contains a bunch of customer faces, near the call to action or near the area that we're talking about. Hey, we've got so many customers that are already using the product.
Yeah, it's amazing what it can do. And the reason for that is nobody wants to be first. They want to know that they have had a good experience by getting that product or service, and they want to know that other people have experienced what it is that you're claiming that your product can do for them. Yeah, we are. I mean, just nobody wants to be the first guy. I mean, I'm an old rodeo cowboy, actually, believe it or not, a rodeo bull rider, and nobody ever wanted to be first. We called it a gunner, and you were the first one up, and nobody ever wanted to be first. For several reasons other than not marketing related. But so speaking of your chatter and your collage thing, we took a screenshot of a company. They had it was one of their Facebook posts. We simply took a screenshot of all the comments, like 15 comments, put it in the sidebar of one of their checkout pages. 289.52% more people ordered.
Wow. That's awesome. Love that.
All because of one little Facebook chatter. And they weren't even the great glowing testimonials. It was just showing something real. And we actually went on and increased it even a little bit further by putting live Facebook chatter in one of the big popular threads that was just blowing up on comments. Another one, we had a fitness company that was selling a fitness training workout regimen, and they had a load of customers. So we put a banner across the top of their sales page that said 55,173 happy customers. And it increased their sales 158.77%. And we tested a bunch of different numbers. They were adding like 400 plus people a day, so we couldn't keep up with the live ticker. We even tested a live ticker, and actually a static odd number such as 55,173 actually performed the best. Now here's one of the logos. And this company had a bunch of great clients, obviously, Facebook, Pandora, Match, Stanford, great companies. So we tested, the top was the control. So we thought, well, in this case, more is better. Let's try more. So we added a bunch more logos, and this one decreased conversions almost 90%. So you got to pay attention to the frequency and the number at which that you show these things, because more in some cases isn't necessarily better. And it's important that you test all of those different elements. So
that's a great point.
Images. You need to pay close attention to your images and imagery on your site. Even the slightest change in image can yield massive improvements. Images that you should be testing, hero shots such as inside, or look at what your package includes when they're purchasing. Background images that you can test. Sliders, the carousels that we absolutely hate here at Conversion Fanatics. Those funny homepage sliders. Proof elements such as the collage that Justin was mentioning. Inside shots of your members area to get them experience in your product. We don't have the luxury online of people to go into the store and take something off the rack and touch and feel it and hold it and try it on and do those things. So we need to convey that through our imagery on our website. Other things that you should be testing is a person looking to the left or the right. Studies have shown that a person in an image looking towards the form and their eyes kind of track towards the form will increase conversions in most cases. Is the image benefit driven? Does it actually support your cause, or is it just something that you pulled off a stock photo website? Does it allow the visitor to see themselves using it? Like I was talking about, they don't have the luxury of actually experiencing the product, so you need to do your best through your imagery to do it. Are you using photos versus graphics? The positioning and the size of the image and the opportunities here on imagery are absolutely endless, and nothing is off limits. A good example here is just, if I blocked it out because of the confidentiality of the sensitive information we're dealing with oftentimes with sales, but We tested several different images, and the winner here actually increased the form submissions by 169.8%, all by changing one single image on a very basic landing page. Here we had a testosterone supplement that was using an advertorial, and we were tracking click-throughs and engagement on the actual form or actual advertorial. And the original image is on the left. We tested a couple different additional images, and of course, in marketing, oftentimes sex sells. So it improved the click-through rate on the advertorial by 183.3%. Starting to get the picture why optimization may be a little bit important?
Just a little bit.
Well, just a little bit. But yeah, benefits. Nobody cares about the features of your product. That's it. So stop shouting from the rooftops on how great your product or service is. All they care about is results or the benefits of the use of it. I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM in my laptop that's sitting right here. That's great. It's a feature. But what are the benefits? Faster processing speeds. There's other benefits that I have from coming from 16 gigabytes of RAM. So you really need to think about why your company or your product benefits and why those features benefit your end user. Leverage benefit-driven bullet points. Turn paragraphs into short blurbs because nobody reads online. They tend to skim. So break up short paragraphs, turn those into short blurbs so they can easily consume and digest that information. And then support the benefits with the feature. If you have a feature, great, but make sure you're tying it to some kind of benefit or end result that they're going to get and why that particular feature is important. Distractions. Keep it simple and remove your page from distracting elements that take away from the end goal you're looking to achieve, similar to our opening case study where they had multiple different options to choose from. We made it very linear, not distracting at all, and it increased the results. Here's another example is this company had a form and then they had a free trial, a live demo, and contact us. We removed that information from the page. Very simple. 16.1% increase in leads. All because we were just removing those distracting elements. Too many options, often cases, isn't the best option. So compounding conversions. Einstein said that compounding interest rate was the eighth wonder of the world, but I kind of think compounding conversions could be too. 10,000 unique visitors, 3% conversion rate on a $99 sale, you're roughly making about $30,000. You have a 15% upsell take rate at $149. That's an extra $6,700. Your total is just over $36,000. Now, let's apply a little conversion magic, and we get those same 10,000 unique visitors. We do some massaging, and we get a 3.5% conversion rate on a $99 sale. Now we're making just under $35,000. We get an 18% upsell take rate at $149. Now we're making $9,300. That's a total of $44,000 or $7,600 in increased revenue, all by just making a few simple tweaks to your site and without pouring on more traffic. People think traffic, I just need more traffic. I just need more eyeballs on it. But traffic's actually the easy part. I mean, Justin, you have an agency and all of this stuff. I mean, it's easy because you just get your credit card out and buy it. I mean, there are some nuances to it that make it difficult, and you can lose a lot of money, but you don't necessarily need more traffic. The reason why is, I mean, traffic's sexy, it sells. That's the whole big thing, but you have the other piece of the puzzle, and that is the conversion piece. And if the offer doesn't convert, then getting more traffic isn't going to solve your problem. One of my favorite quotes is by W. Clement Stone: "Big doors swing on small hinges."
Love that.
And that comes down to things to test. Things like headline, pricing options, product description, video versus text, logo versus no logo, call to action, buy button text, buy button color, page background, long copy versus short, landing page layout, buy button placement and size, form fields, images, proof. And we could be here all day talking about different things to test. And moving on to your offer. If you aren't seeing the incremental improvements you're looking for in your split testing, and you're not seeing wins like 36 and 40, 50% from multiple different efforts, then you need to take a long, hard look at your offer. And big swings. Sometimes the only way to get a bigger win is to make some big dramatic change, but only after you've exhausted some of those incremental changes and tests. Oftentimes people just say, well, I'll just redesign it. And you don't know what's having the biggest impact. And we've seen horror stories upon horror stories where people will redesign their page and then wonder why their conversions are in the toilet. Or they just think, I just need a new theme. I need a new look and feel of this site. And it's just not going to change things. So you need to figure out through testing what makes your visitors tick and why those incremental changes are having such an impact, which we'll talk about here in a little bit too. But first, more case studies, because we like case studies. Here was a case where we actually redesigned it. We tested this page every which way, the one on the left. We tested it every which way we could possibly test it, and we figured out some different elements, and it just wasn't clear. So we redesigned it, made it very clear, highlighted a bunch of social proof, brought that up, and just made it very clear on what the next step is and how it all worked. This particular page increased their order completes by 1,892%, increased engagement, 71% more people visited the sign-up page. Their basic membership, they was talking about a monthly membership site here, subscription service, increased their basic by 2,788% and their premium customers by 99.2%, all by just gathering the data, understanding what the visitors wanted, and gave it to them in a very clear and concise fashion, backing it up with social proof.
That's crazy outrageous.
Here's a landing and a squeeze page. Yeah, I mean, you just never know. I mean, we love hitting home runs like that. They don't always happen, but it was a lot of work leading up to that one home run with multiple different tests leading up to it. But here we got another landing page in squeeze page. This is a contact form for a particular software as a service company. And we wanted to see basically why the how did you hear about us field was there is essentially what it is. The image on the left is the how did you hear about us field. Thanks to tracking, we don't really need to know that information because we already know it. We're tracking all of the different variables and passing through that information through the form. So why do we need it? So we removed it, and the result was 1,864% increase in form submissions.
That's outrageous.
All by just removing one simple form field. Pricing structure. I know a lot of people have this in many different markets, but pricing structure. So here, I only took 2 screenshots of this. There was multiple different variations, such as that you see that American Express banner across the top. You see the American Express image in there, but we tested multiple different offers. And we basically changed sign up to claim my offer, changed pay for itself in just 2 shipments to save for a limited time only, change it to special offer versus best value, and then highlighted, there's some of the key benefits of exactly what that membership was going to give them. And made multiple different combinations, and the winning combo was the one that's highlighted there. 14.1% increase in sales, all because we made some multiple changes to this page, and just very simple changes, but changes nonetheless. Now, mobile. Here's a women's clothing retailer. In case you don't know, I'd like to give a bunch of different examples from a bunch of different industries, just in case.
Yeah, it's great.
But
it really
mobile.
helps us understand, how you can apply this across anything you're doing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's not rocket science at the end of the day. It's difficult. It can be hard work, but what works in something else, the principles are the same no matter what you're selling, because at the end of the day, we're all just selling to people. So we're all just we're all in the people business, no matter what we're selling. But here we had a women's retailer on mobile. They were having some issues with their mobile checkout. And we figured out through some heat maps and some other tests that they were having to tap to select the color, tap to select the size, tap to select the quantity, and then select from there. So we actually expanded those options and resulted in 36.6% increase in mobile checkouts and 6.4% increase in average order value, all because we streamlined that process. Progress bars. Not enough people use it outside of the direct response marketing space. And you need to. On average, we see probably 33% improvements by testing just progress bars, either adding them or changing them or tweaking them. And here we tested a bunch of different progress bars as a result. And in this particular instance, it increased 18.3% by having a blue progress bar, and a green one actually increased at 17.6%. So we had a pretty close winner there, but still 18.3% people filled it out, all because they wanted to know. people just want to know that it's a simple process. We've tested which step we could possibly think of, and we find that if you do 4 or less, chances are you're going to be better off than if you would just list out, some people have multiple different checkout steps, and some have 6+ steps if you count your registration pages on e-commerce stores and things like that. But just make it seem as if it's subconsciously very simple for them to take action and sign up with you. Emphasis. So here we had a fitness company, a supplement company that had a free membership to their kind of training platform, and we tested highlighting it with sign up free, 100% free for life, join now for free, no credit card required, and sign up for free. Actually increased it 36.3% just by changing those few simple little scribbly words. And what was weird is join now decreased at 18%, and no credit card required decreased at 9.4%.
Wow, that's interesting.
You never know. You just never know. And even the slightest change, and I'll even get to a smaller change that had a big impact here shortly. Colors. The original, I don't remember exactly what the original one was, but here was that supplement company, that manufacturing company from earlier on. In a previous case study, we're doing it again. But here we tested the colors around the form. In yellow, it fit into their brand integrity. I'm not a huge fan of the color scheme, but we had to go with what their theme and existing things are. But it actually increased at 91% increase in the form submissions. Gray increased at 69%, and green increased at 76.1%. We're talking, we got over 2,000 conversions across these.
That's insane that just that color change would make such a drastic improvement.
Yeah, and I mean, all coming from just a basic white background. Contrast. So I mentioned earlier that leading visitors down a path of least resistance to the end goal. I like to do this with colors and contrast. I like to have my main calls to action throughout the step, from step 1 all the way through to the end step, be the same color and be of contrast to the rest of the color scheme on the site. Here was that's just a general rule of thumb, and it often works out well, probably 9 times out of 10. So here we had a company that had add to bag. Their buttons were all black. Their site was a very gray color scheme, not a lot of color. So we added some contrast and some color variations to the color, and the result was 57% more sales. All by changing the color throughout. We changed it throughout the entire process, but in the entire user flow. But all of the main calls to action, such as the add to cart or add to bag, the continue to checkout, the checkout buttons, were all matching in this particular case, and it increased sales 57%. Back to call to action. Try it free for 14 days. Sign up now to get started. Start here. Get your free trial. Get your free 14-day trial. 100% free 14-day trial. Sign up now to get started. Not much changed. 22% increase. And what was weird is the try it free for 14 days versus the 100% free 14-day trial decreased 43%. So you just never know.
Yeah, the try
exit discount. Yeah, I mean, the psychology behind what makes a lot of people tick is just overwhelming sometimes. So exit discounts. If you're not using exit and 10 pop-ups, use them. Here in this particular case, we just get, hey, save 10%. You're going to leave the site anyway. Why not take advantage of a special offer? Redeem it. Here's the coupon code. Go get it. So 36% of the people that were leaving the site made a purchase with this coupon code, all because we had those. And you've got retargeting in place. You've got all of those other things, but you've got a hot prospect on your site right now. Might as well maximize it versus paying to have them come back later. Trust. I mentioned security seals earlier. So here was a supplement company doing large volumes, thousands of orders a day. And in this particular case, we just added an ActiveGuard Trust Guard seal, and McAfee Secure Seal to the site, just to the checkout page. And it resulted in, they had a subscription, they had a regular purchase, and then they had then revenue per visitor here. So subscription, if you buy a recurring subscription to the supplement, it increased sales 19.2%. Regular one-off purchases increased 28.2%. And the revenue per visitor increased 71.1%, all because we highlighted a little bit of trust and made people feel all warm and fuzzy that they needed to be on the site and enter their credit card information.
Yeah, those are great.
Bonuses. I'm a firm believer in bonuses and special offers and things like that to entice visitors. And here we just added a simple ebook, grayed out again for confidentiality because it had their name all over it and sensitive information again. But so bonuses, and we added it, just simple few bullet points. Plus, get this, nothing, this one-time only offer type thing, take action, some urgency stuff, and it increased just by adding the bonus language in that little image. 25.9% more people actually made the purchase. Simplicity.
Wow.
Image on the left, large company, very cumbersome page, multiple different steps, pulling in multiple different directions. We made it very simple. We broke it out into I think there was 4 steps. We broke it out into each individual step on their own individual page or in their own iframe area. So all we asked for, instead of asking for all of the information at once, we just asked for zip code first. And the result was 41.2% more people completed the entire process to become a lead for this particular company, which is a very high value, high dollar lead for this company. Video. Now, this is one of my funner case studies that I like because it's the old debate of autoplay or not autoplay and size of video. So here we had a video on the upper left. We had no video on the bottom left, and then video full screen on the right. And video full screen actually increased conversions 18.8%. And this was I think a $200 a month membership in the financial space. So full width autoplay increased at 18.8%, but the one in the upper left here, the small video with autoplay, decreased it 28.9%, and the full width without autoplay only increased it 6.2%. Button text. So give me my download, or give me the download was a control, and then from top to bottom we did instant download, free download, and download now. Free download increased form submissions with name and email address by 23.3% versus download now decreased it almost 35%. A couple more case studies and then we'll get into some more fun stuff. But form fields, here we have that how did you hear about us once again. And in this case, removing the how did you hear about us increased the form submissions by 70.1%.
Wow.
And we took it a step further, and per the company, they agreed we could actually remove the phone number field. It wasn't that necessary for them to get what it is that they needed. So we removed the phone field from this step to take it a step further, and it increased the conversions again another 75%.
That's outrageous.
So the whole point to me showing you this one is your forms matter. So take the least amount of information you need to get the job done. The more steps and the more process you have, the more friction you're going to add to the process, which is going to reduce your conversion rate and just basically piss off your customers. And again, you have multiple different steps in the process. Here we had a particular company that had a pre-sale, choose plan. They had a multiple, 3-tier plan, and then they had checkout. So we combined 1 and 2, essentially selling on the plan product options page, combined it, essentially removing a step. 178.9% more people signed up, all because we removed one piece of friction from the process, and that was removing one simple step. Product images. If you're not highlighting your products, you need to. Here we had 2 different companies selling 2 different products, and we just added some simple imagery around the product selection page about what they were purchasing. And in one case, it increased their checkout conversions, their actual orders, by 100.4%, and the other one increased it 66% their revenue per visitor, all by adding a simple image. So you probably get an understanding that nothing is off limits here when you're looking at testing, and you always test your assumptions. Don't ever, ever, ever just assume because you see it someplace else that it's going to work. You have different markets, you have different things, different elements, different everything. It doesn't matter if you have the same exact ad. It doesn't matter. It works different for everybody else. So how small? Well, the little s that could. I was listening to a long time ago I was listening to an audio by the great Dan Kennedy, and he told a story about a company in the pre-internet days in the print media. They were selling a music education product, and their ad for the longest time said, "Put music into your life." That was the headline. And on a mistake one day, they puts music into your life, adding a little S to it. And the result from that little mistake was triple the response to their advertisement. So why is that? Well, put music into your life subconsciously says that there's going to be some work involved. But puts music into your life subconsciously conveys that it's going to be easy and done for you. So everything and the smallest change can have a dramatic impact on your conversions and your visitor engagement. And basically, it's a numbers game. The goal is to reach the tipping point as quickly as possible, then optimize so you can scale and profit more. And the tipping point is when your average order value exceeds your cost per acquisition. And the quicker you can get to that point, day one is perfect if you can get there. But some companies take 5 months before they can actually be profitable. And they're okay with that. I'm not, but they're okay with it in a lot of cases. So you just need to know your value and know your numbers so you can balance it out. So the CRO process, conversion rate optimization process, and why the R is actually crossed out. The actual conversion rate is relative. You can actually make less money by increasing your conversion rate. Sounds crazy, but you have the option if, say, you've got a $50 product and you've got a $100 upsell. You test a pricing on the front end and you decrease the price to $30. Okay, more people are going to purchase because it's $30 instead of $50. But you didn't take into account that now half of them, as many people now take your upsell. So now you made less money. Yes, you increased your conversion rate on the front end, but you actually made less money overall. So when I say the conversion rate is relative, I mean that you need to pay so much close attention to your average order value at day 1, day 30, day 60, day 90, 6 months, a year, lifetime. So you know your numbers so well that you can dial it in, and then your cost per acquisition so well, then you can widen the gap and improve it incrementally by improving your conversion rates on several different steps in the process. And that process is analyze existing data, survey, do a competitive analysis, identify leverage points, roll out a testing plan, and we're going to talk about that here in detail a little bit. But 97% of website owners collect data. Less than 30% actually do something with it. When's the last time you logged into your analytics account to actually look at some of the information and really dove in to pay attention to what your visitors are telling you? So analyze allows us to we can leverage analytics and other tracking. We can use heat maps and click maps, which I'm a firm believer in. Use things like usability testing, such as usertesting.com, where you can hire me to do it. We'll hire some people, and we do that there. So analyze a bounce rate example. So 81% reduction in bounce rate. Here we had a company that had 2 different paths to choose from, and they really thought that the one path was the one that they were showcasing was the way to go. But we did some analysis and figured out that the people wanted the secondary. They were paying most attention to the secondary path that was not being shown very prominently on their website. So we switched it up, ran a test, reduced their bounce rate on their page, which in turn increased their engagement by 81% and increased their lead generation by 5%. The purpose of analyzing things is to find out what your visitors are paying attention to, what they're ignoring. Video bounce rates. Maybe you figure out that, here's a good example. Actually, I was in a Facebook group recently. Somebody said, how long should a video sales letter be? I was like, well, what do your metrics show? I said, look at your analytics. He said, okay, I see that 75% of my people are dropping off at 1.5 minutes. It's 20-minute long video. Well, there, you've got an issue at 1.5 minutes. Or maybe you figure out that people aren't clicking on the video to watch it at all, and it's basically rendering it useless. And you're also using this to analyze for friction points. You're looking for those areas where visitors are falling off, so then you can plug the holes where you're leaking and improve your process. So big one here is, have you surveyed your customers in the last month? Have you, Justin?
I'm always doing a little bit of surveying, so yeah, but we can all do a better job for sure.
Did you execute on the data?
I've learned a lot from surveying. It's crazy.
And that's the big thing is your customers, you got to let them have an area to vent and let out their frustrations on what you're selling. So you need to survey. The purpose is find trends, reasons why they bought, what they liked, what they didn't like, or, why they didn't buy. Let them be heard before they turn to social media or a rip-off report or something like that to express their distaste. You may not like the feedback always, but it's very valuable. A competitive analysis. So here's what we're looking for. We're going to find out what is working and what isn't. We find leverage. We're not looking at our competitors to absolutely rip them off. We're not looking to steal. A good example of this is we had a multiple billion-dollar brand that came to us and said, if I name the name, you'd know exactly who it is. They're all over TV. They're all over everywhere. But they came to us and they said, we have dismal results on display advertising. What's the issue? We did some research, did a competitive analysis, found out their nearest partner or their nearest competitor had 40 times the impact on display than they did. And the sad thing is that nearest competitor was a reseller partner of theirs, and they were giving up the majority of their profits to that reseller partner, advertising to the same people, all because they weren't effective on display advertising. And the reason for that is the competitor was advertising the benefit and the solution and something to educate the prospect, versus the company was beating them over the head on exactly why they needed to sign up instead of educating them first. So we find all of those leverage points. Now we roll it up in findings and come up with leverage points to begin testing and creating our test hypothesis. Then start testing. You can't let a single day go by without running a test. It's the only way to get and keep a competitive advantage, so remember that. Don't blindly test things either. You need to find out problem areas and test them and fix them and confirm our assumptions. Then learn from those tests and test again. So why use a process? Well, random testing can work, but it's a process. You can yield big gains by just going through a checklist, but you won't always know why. I could test button color today or headline tomorrow or this image tomorrow, and you really don't know why things are happening and what the reasons behind that is, because testing and optimization allow us to just learn more about our visitors so we can then deliver a better message to them and in turn make more money. So with the process, you waste less time on tests that are low value. You learn something from each test, because now no test is ever a true loser. It's extremely important for morale in your company that not all testing is going to be winners. You might have 1 in 10 that's a winner in some cases, but you need to learn from every one of those losing variations, so then you can come out and set yourself up for bigger test wins. Run the numbers. I have created a basic spreadsheet, conversionfanatics.com/sheet, just a basic spreadsheet so you can run some of the metrics for yourself. So think about, to double your business, how much would you have to improve each conversion rate? Or if you improved each conversion rate 100%, how much difference would it make? So you prioritize the results so you know which order to test. Every metric has its limit though. Use common sense. If it says that you need to increase your upsell conversion rate by 50 to 100%, it's just not going to happen. It can, but it's going to be a long, hard road, and you're never going to get anywhere, and you're going to lose a lot of sleep in the process. So the results are very different for each website, each e-commerce store, each everything, even if they're selling the exact same types of products. Don't just change your site because someone said that certain element improved the checkout rate. You have different inputs, hard good costs, fulfillment, process, continuity, stick, and all sorts of other different variables that you don't know. And there's a lot of unknown there, so make sure you test it. Put your focus where it matters most for you and let your website visitors be the guide. And then systematize testing. Just like anything else, testing should be a process. You should have people dedicated to it. Just as much as you have people dedicated to running your advertising, you need to have people dedicated to running your optimization. The problem, it's hard work. It takes time, it takes resources. But no campaign, in order to make it effective, should be deployed without first understanding and creating a test hypothesis. So you create a test hypothesis, you must have a reason plus back it with some best practices. So why are you testing something? Hypothesis basically does. That's all it does. It answers the question why. It's a bold, specific prediction that to be proven or disproven by your experiment. It includes what you're testing, what you predict the outcome to be, and why you think that is the case. If we change X, then Y because Z, or if variable, then result due to rationale. An example, from your data, you discover your front-end offer bounce rate is high. 94% are leaving within 15 seconds. Why? Well, is the price hard to find or missing? Is the navigation confusing? Is there lack of clear value proposition? Is the landing page missing information promised in your ad? Are you lacking some congruency or consistency all the way through the process? Well, wouldn't it be nice to know why rather than just what button color raises, lowers your conversion rate? Well, you need to craft a hypothesis to test every reason why you can imagine across your offer page to figure out what really drives your audience. And if we prominently reveal instead of hide a rebill price, then fewer people will bounce because they want to know pricing before putting the effort in to read and consider the free trial. That was actually a real case study, and it resulted in 40% lower bounce rate and 31% increase in trial signups, all because we prominently displayed and created a test hypothesis and tested out all of those different scenarios to figure out what made that audience tick. Seems simple, but it quickly iterates and compounds into the positive direction when you do it correctly. But now what? You need to document your findings, share them, make your entire team smarter, push winners and profit, do it again. Now, this is the beginning of a data-driven transformation of your entire organization. You're building a knowledge base that will take to the top of the industry. Happier, more productive organization, more winning products, more customers, higher order values, higher lifetime value, and you're just truly winning at that point. So when to call a test? Well, if a test is not showing promise early on with plenty of visitors or conversions, don't just beat the dead horse trying to run it out to statistical significance, because you're just wasting a bunch of time. We know that it's not, if it shows it's losing by 60% on the first couple days, it's not going to come back and win by 20%. It's just not going to happen. So cut ties, either iterate and move on to something else. You need to reach statistical significance if it shows promise, but the problem is probably 1 in 4 tests actually reach statistical significance, no matter how much traffic you pour on it. So you need to look on other variables. So we always, when we start really looking at the data, it's 1,000 visits per variation, unique visitors, and at least 25 conversions per variations. Because if you have anything less than that, of course, more here is better because you have less room and margin for error. But at 25, we kind of find it to be the optimal number. Anything less than that, one conversion could swing the results one way or another.
Yeah, that's a great, simple way to think about it too. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, it really isn't that hard. You just got to have enough data, but know when to cut ties. So a few common testing mistakes. You don't let tests run long enough. We always like to run it for a full calendar week. If a test shows promise, we let it run for at least a full calendar week, sometimes up to 2 to 3 weeks. It really depends on what the data is showing us. But the reason for that is weekend traffic is going to convert different than a Tuesday traffic or something like that. So you need a good, strong sample size from every day of the week. You run tests too long. You just let them go and go and go and go, and you're not really learning anything. Or maybe the test is showing a few percentage points one way or another, and you're like, I'll just give it a little bit more time. No, you're going for 30% winners here. We're not going for just a couple percentage points, and we're trying to build up to those bigger wins. Then you don't implement fast enough. This is probably the biggest testing mistake that I have seen running thousands of marketing tests. They don't implement. Once you have a winning variation, push it to your site as quickly as possible, drop everything, get it up there so you can maximize the results that you just showed to be the improvement. Then go out and try to beat your high score again. Then you're going out and you're testing too many small elements. That's another big mistake. Don't just test all the little itty bitty things. You need to make some big swings occasionally too. So if you're not seeing the results improvement, you're testing too many small incremental elements. Another one is false positives or inaccurate reporting. A lot of the solutions out there are JavaScript based if you're doing split testing. So it's important that you have backup tracking in place to make sure you're not having inaccurate reporting and that you're not having false positives. If you think you have a false positive, you run a simple AA test to make sure that your tracking software is tracking effectively. So if you have a winning variation, test it against itself to see if it actually shows an improvement and see what the margin for error is going to be in there. Know your numbers. You're a smart marketer, so know your metrics and watch them carefully on a daily or weekly basis. W.E. Deming said, "In God we trust, all others bring data." And I'm a big numbers junkie, so I love it. And you would be surprised at how many very large companies don't know their numbers and aren't testing. A good $75 million example is a large company. This was their advertising budget per year, was $75 million. And I asked them, I said, what's your cost per acquisition? I don't know. When's the last time you ran a split test? I don't know. What's your conversion rate? Somewhere less than 1%. It's like, you're spending $75 million and you have no idea. So you need to know your numbers. There's a lot of those
companies out there. It's crazy.
God, it's just painful. It makes you fall out of your chair. I guess they just got deeper pockets than me, I guess. But so what numbers? Your cost per acquisition, your cost per lead, your average order value, your average lead value, your cost per click, your earnings per click, and use things like spreadsheets, have people in charge of report and track. You can process it all out using, Google Docs or a solution called Suite Process. Same for your tests, track your progress over time, and just really understand what you tested at any given time so you can build upon those and build a big Rolodex of all of these past tests that you've run so you can learn and be smarter. Once you know your numbers, you can afford more traffic. You can get faster and more dramatic split test results. You can outbid your competition. You can attract more and better affiliates. You can afford to invest more in growth. You can add more back-end products, build new funnels, enter new markets. It all becomes possible. And a good friend of mine has a very successful company in the sports-related niche told me, he said, we're just going to out-convert everybody so then they can't compete with us. And he's done a very good job because he can pay more to acquire customers, basically leaving them with remnants left on their traffic. So they just have out-converted everybody, and I think they're approaching 100 million in revenue or something like that because they just out-converted everybody else. And he told me he's spent like $60 million on AdWords over the last, I had lunch with him in New York City not too long ago, and he spent $60 million on AdWords over the last 5 years. So he knows a little bit about how to scale, I guess.
I think that,
some tools of the trade.
Really leveraging conversion optimization.
Yeah, for sure. So tools that we use here: Optimizely, Convert.com, Improvely, Google UTM parameters, use your CRM tracking capabilities, use things like Crazy Egg or Hotjar, use AdBeat, use SimilarWeb, use SpyFu, use all of these different solutions to just really understand exactly what's going on at any given time. Well, it sounds complicated because, well, it kind of can be. But what if you get the help you need in implementing an optimization, testing, and growth strategy without having to navigate the waters alone or take time away from what you need to focus on? Help with ideation, strategy, implementation, development, graphic design, management, reporting, the works. An entire team for all the less than the price of investing in a good developer. This is where us and Conversion Fanatics come in. Our expert team will help you create test ideas, hypothesis, design the test elements, develop the actual tests, implement everything for you, manage the entire process so you can experience the growth you're looking for without the headaches of doing it all yourself. We've conducted thousands of marketing tests for companies like Global Golf, HD Supply, Poopery, Gurkha, Necessary Clothing, Charge Tech, XChair, BlueJeans.com, which we're actually using Blue Jeans right now to do this. And Investors.com and dozens more. We're certified with Optimizely, VWO, and Convert. If you have more than 30,000 visitors to your store each month, you're producing consistent leads and sales. It's because it's tough to optimize from zero. You're short on bandwidth. No, you should be testing, but aren't. I'm looking for my ideas to expand your current testing plan. Then just get your free in-depth conversion analysis by going to conversionfanatics.com/session. There's no obligation to this whatsoever. We actually did one for Justin too. Created a basic.
Yeah, it was very eye-opening for sure.
We'll just get a look under the hood. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you don't hire us, but you really need to understand what your visitors are telling you, and we'll be happy to help you out with that. So in the free analysis, we'll actually do a deep dive in your analytics and your heat maps. We'll find hidden problem areas you may be overlooking or confirm some of your assumptions that you might have for problem areas, give you a couple dozen test ideas, develop an actual action plan for you. Then you can decide if taking care of the heavy lifting is right for you. Again, no obligation whatsoever. Go to conversionfanatics.com/session to get your free analysis. So that's actually what I got.
So Justin, I've got a few questions here that I think you may have addressed them, but I want to make sure that folks get their questions answered. From Grisha, what tools do you use for ad testing? I clarified, and that it was before you got to the tool section, but I think for folks that are curious about sort of what you lean towards or what tools you use to test for your testing, which I know that you're a big fan of A/B testing as opposed to multivariate. Maybe you can comment on that. But
yeah,
my understanding, you kind of use whatever tools somebody's already using, or maybe you have some specific tools that you sort of lean towards. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, well, I'll address the A/B versus multivariate first, but the reason I don't like multivariate testing or true multivariate testing is it takes forever. You have to have a truckload of traffic, and chances of you ending up back at square one are good. So I like to test fast, be nimble, be agile. So I test with A/B testing at all possible. If money was no object on tools and I had to choose a testing plan, I would choose Optimizely. They're kind of the leader in the space. I avoid Adobe. If money is no object, I avoid Adobe Test and Target at all costs. If money isn't or is kind of tight, I recommend convert.com. Or third, I would recommend VWO. Our favorite heat map solution right now is Hotjar because they do screen recording. Another option, all-in-one. If you want to do A/B testing and have heat maps and funnel analytics and things like that that are provided, but you want to have A/B testing piece there too, you can do Zarget. So Zarget is another solution that we've been liking a lot recently. So yeah, that's the thing. As far as ad testing, just do it on the platform typically. If you're running Facebook ads, run it there, or hire Justin to do your Facebook ads. Yeah, but on site, anything, I always leverage a tool because they spend millions of dollars developing their tool, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So
I've got a question from Julio, which may be more specific to the work that I do with Facebook. But Julio says, what kind of behavioral targeting would you recommend using for an e-commerce store where the product is lower priced, more of an impulse buy? Any suggestions? Julio, I'll go ahead and answer you in the comments here, but I think in general for other folks who are interested in behavioral targeting, if you're not familiar with the behavioral or behaviors that you can target, and more so purchase behaviors you can target through Facebook, they are something that I use quite a bit, especially when I'm getting started trying to build the first set of buyers, because they're so targeted, they're actionable. It's what people have done, not what they're interested in. So purchase behaviors are a huge one, and there's so many of them. You typically can easily find a behavior Facebook targeting that matches what business you're after. Quite a bit in my e-commerce business as well. So I highly recommend that you go through that. And I have a document that maybe I can share there. That's kind of the behavioral cheat sheet on Facebook.
Yeah, I couldn't have answered that.
That's why we're both here.
That's it. I can knock them out when they're on your site, but getting them there is a different story.
Yeah, let me just see if there's any additional questions. Guys, if you've got additional questions, let us know now so we can get them answered for you. Michael says,
if you have questions after the fact, feel free to reach out to us too. We're happy to answer them.
Yeah, exactly. And you can just hit us up with a comment here on the Facebook Live. But Michael says, with lead ads where the info is already filled out, does he suggest removing anything? Name, phone, email?
How much information do you need?
I think that just comes back to what you really need. And I think that a lot of folks are using lead ads, should be collecting phone numbers. I've had good experience in doing that, and people actually agree to allow me to text them whatever I promised to do that. The beauty is that it's pre-filled, right? So there's less friction.
Yeah, there's way less friction there. Yeah, there's almost no friction because every step's done for you. I mean, it's do you want it or you don't.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've learned about lead ads, just to kind of add on to that whole thought process, is that now I actually like to add at least one custom question, because the challenge is that because there is almost zero friction short of pushing learn more and submit, it slows them down so that when you go to contact them later via email or phone, they actually remember filling out because there's so little friction that they sometimes just don't even remember what they opted into.
That's a good tip.
In many cases, if I'm asking for phone numbers, it might be a simple question of, can I send you this report via text? Yes or no? Just so it's a thing they have to do, which slows them down so the brain can remember that they actually opted into it.
Awesome.
Let's see if we got any other questions here. Otherwise, we'll cut it loose. We're right here on the hour, so it's perfect time. So, Justin, thank you so much. This has been extremely helpful. I mean, I've been in this game for a long time, and every time I talk to you, I learn something new. I know that you've got a couple of different places that people can find. You can tell them more about. Obviously, you go to conversionfanatics.com, and if you want a free analysis, check that out and take advantage of that because it's highly valuable. But I know that you're also doing other things. You got a podcast, you wrote a book, so maybe you want to tell folks, how they can find you a different channel.
Best way is really just conversionfanatics.com. You'll find the podcast there as well as links over to the book. You can connect with me directly on social. I know we're broadcasting live. Go ahead, friend me on Facebook, whatever it might be. I don't bite very hard anyway, but yeah, or you can go to Clixo, CLYXO.com/Justin Christianson, all one word, and you can find all my social links there if you want to connect on LinkedIn or whatever it might be.
Awesome stuff as always. I appreciate your time and energy and the information you've shared with us today. I would highly recommend that one takes him up on this offer and gets that free analysis because the data will open your eyes to what. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a profitable day.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Justin.